Good afternoon, everybody. Lesley Myrick here. I am Nancy Ganzikoffer's associate coach. This is what day is it? Tuesday, Wednesday? I've lost track. It's Tuesday, and we're here with Fernando from Duque Renders, who is my amazing rendering artist and does some incredible work for interior designers. Fernando Duque, now that I know how to pronounce your last name, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm good, Lesley. How's it going? It's always nice to see you.
Likewise. I love these conversations because I am all in with renderings in my business. This is something that I adopted a couple years ago. Didn't really think I needed because you don't have to do renderings, and you don't. But holy game changer in terms of profitability and making my design process much easier. So I'm excited to talk a lot about that with you today. That's what we're going to dive into. How can Duque Renders improve your profitability and streamline your process? What are your thoughts, Fernando?
Well, I may be a little bit biased though, but I disagree that I think every single project needs renderings, and not because I run a rendering company. It's because I just see how much of the benefits affect the not only the end client but mostly the designers, right? Like, God, I've seen my wife struggle so much when she didn't do renderings. But for everyone, my wife is an interior designer here in Tulum, Mexico, and then when she didn't have them as her process, God, I've started struggling, and this repeats with every single client that started working with us, right? Like at the very beginning, they're like, "Oh, I'm not sure," and then it's like, "I can't live without them." So, yeah, I may be biased, but yeah, everybody shouldn't do renderings for sure.
I agree, and it's something that I found out while working on client projects, just how much, like, it's cliche, but a picture is worth 1,000 words. And it's freaking true because we've got the picture up here as designers. We can look at those plans. We can look at the elevations, the mood boards, the samples, and we know what it's all going to look like. Like, we can fully visualize that space in 3D.
Yeah.
I mean, think about, like, for me, it would be like me looking at my profit and loss statement, and my bookkeeper's like, "Oh, I have a full financial picture of your business." And I'm like, "I see a bunch of numbers on a page."
Yeah.
I think that's what clients see. They're like, "I kind of get the floor plan. I can see this. I like that fabric, but I don't really understand what's happening." And the rendering is what allows your brain to be seen by the clients. I mean, it sounds crazy, but really that's what it is. It's getting ideas out of your head and into a graphic, an image, so a client can understand what the project's going to look like when it's completely finished.
Yeah, no, and I always say that it's a very hard ask for a client, especially if a client doesn't have, and you can expect that these clients are, if they hire the designer, they don't have first the time, second the brain power to imagine something out of the thin air. And if you show them like, here's this small tile combined with this little piece of wood and this paint color, think about your bathroom or your living room is going to look like that. So it's a hard ask. I always say that designers have this incredible like visualization skill built into them, and but not everybody, shocking, not everybody has that. And a little push would not hurt, especially to the clients that don't have this skill set, and it just makes everyone like work easier and faster and smoother. It makes clients visualize, like I said, the ideas of the designers much faster. And at the end of the day, like you may be, or you have to be turning projects around much, much faster and with less headaches and back and forth. So I think like if
less headaches.
Hopefully people like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we're talking specifically about improving profitability, and there's two ways that I have thought of that improves profitability. Number one, like we talked about, it does communicate everything you've got in here as a designer into something the clients can see and understand. But for me, also seeing things in 3D, I have caught mistakes. I have picked a chandelier that's not the right size, or something was off, and you see it in 3D and go, whoa, okay, back up. I need to change, like my sofa 6 inches too big or whatever that might be. That's huge. So not only from a presentation perspective, but when you as a designer get a sneak peek into the finished room in full 3D, you can catch problems before they are in real life.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you, because it's not that I agree with you because I want to agree with you. I've seen this happening many times, and we've told clients like, "Hey, are you sure this sofa fits here?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" Well, because we do everything that's at scale, and it's like it doesn't fit here. So, oh my God, thank you for telling me that. And thank you for picking that up. Imagine that mistake. How much would have cost the client, the
Yes.
designer, when you didn't pick up this mistake. So it is a benefit. I believe more benefits for the designer than the client, but of course, everybody wants to see their kitchen done prior, ahead of time. But talking about kitchens, I mean,
Yes,
wanna. I know this is your show, but I wanna kind of like ask you, because the relationship you and I have is like, you are one of our clients
I
and one of
am.
our best clients, of course. And I want to talk to you a little bit about your experience, and one particular kitchen project that you want to tell us about, like how the story about this project and kind of like how it involved. And
I do. And this was something that really did impact profitability, and I'll tell you how. And it made my process easier because it actually ended up, I don't want to say weeding out a client, but showing us that things weren't right. So let me back up a little bit. I had a project a couple years ago where a client wanted to move the kitchen from where it was in her home into the front of the home, which I think they were using as a dining room at the time. It was just a front room, no plumbing. It was not a kitchen, but they had this big plan for how they wanted to redo things. And it was a really tricky room because it was not meant to be a kitchen. So we were working around cased openings and columns and things that just were weird. And that was the first project. I decided to do a grayscale rendering, what your team calls a clay render, which is a rendering of the room with all the stuff, but no color, no finishes, no textures. It's just like a clay model of what the space looks like. And that occurred to me because, again, I was looking at this dining room, living room, just this box of a room, and I had the plans and elevations and mood boards, and I could see it, but I knew the client couldn't. And it was, like I said, it wasn't taking a kitchen and just changing things. It was putting a kitchen somewhere else in the house. And what we ended up doing, and this isn't the exact one, but this is a very similar one I want to screen share and show you, was basically presenting a rendering that looked like this. And it showed the layout. It gave the client a sense of scope, size, scale, volume. How did the bar stools fit? The layout was remarkably similar to this. What kind of space is around the island? How is this kitchen going to look and feel when it's done? And I will tell you, for this particular project, we didn't end up going forward. The kitchen was going to cost twice what the client wanted to spend. And ultimately, she loved the design, but didn't move forward. But what she said to me, and this just stuck with me, she said, "Listen, I would love to do this project. It is just so far beyond our budget that we're going to stop here. But just, I want you to know, if we were maybe $10,000 or $20,000 above budget, the renderings would have convinced me to pull the trigger."
oh wow,
And I
okay.
just thought, oh my goodness, like there's power in this. She was willing to spend $10,000, $20,000 more than her anticipated investment because she could get a peek at what I was thinking. She could get a look at the outcome of the space. And that was huge. And that's when I realized, me just talking about things, me talking about what the space is going to look like, is only half of really what I think a designer needs to bring to a project. You need to be able to show this, to show your clients, this is what's going on in here. This is what I have planned for you. I promise you it's going to look amazing. And look, I can show it to you. And
Yeah.
the great thing from this clay render, it's not a big deal then to add all the finishes. And suddenly, once you as a designer have picked all those things, boom, you got a finished kitchen rendering that is absolutely beautiful to share with your clients, where they can see, oh my goodness, I see the evolution of this. I see where this is going. I'm excited. And these renderings, Fernando, I promise you, have gotten me and my clients, because I did my own kitchen last year, it's gotten us through that messy middle
Yeah.
where you've spent a lot of money, your kitchen's torn up, you're inconvenienced, you're annoyed, you're uncomfortable, and you just want it to be over. And I literally have renderings taped. I had them on my kitchen wall. I taped them up in my clients' homes. Like, this is where we're going. Trust me. Trust the process. This is the messy middle. It
Yeah.
sucks right now, but look where we're going to be in a little while.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's so much power in that.
I love that you say the messy middle, because the messy middle is usually when you're actually collecting money from them, and they get nothing out of it, at least nothing visible out of it. One of our clients, starts giving them renderings little by little,
Mhm.
so they can, keep the momentum going, keep the
Yes.
excitement going. So I'm actually super happy that you tell me this story, because it is very refreshing to see and to hear from a client that these renderings are powerful for your own design process. And imagine, like, and this time they had a problem with budget, but if she had the money, she would have gone, $10,000-$20,000 above what she was expecting to spend it initially,
Yeah.
just because of that. Look at that. Yeah.
Well, and I wanted to show the transition from that clay render you just saw, same angle, same room, but the difference it is when all the materials are chosen, when the artwork is chosen. I mean, this is a no-brainer for clients. They look at this and go, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. No, that looks
And
beautiful.
we
Yeah.
almost got there with that one client. But you know what? This is a total sidebar, different topic. But if a client doesn't have the money, they don't have the money, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But that
That's
was such
okay.
a valuable learning lesson for me to understand, because I used to just do final renderings like at this stage, and it was huge to realize, wow, this needs to be part for certain projects. This needs to be part of the process. They need to see that space, that volume, and holy moly, like they're more excited to pay. They're more excited to move forward. You can upsell. Like I was, that's great. She wanted to spend 20 grand more. I was like, thumbs up, let's go. And it just like it sealed the deal. It meant no back and forth. There were no questions about, well, how is this really going to fit? Do I have enough clearance around my island? Is there going to be room for 3 bar stools? It was all answered in the visual.
What do you think it would have been like if you didn't have it, though? Like walk me through a little bit on, like, okay, so you have it. It
Mhm.
is kind of like a very nice tool, and you know that is okay. You like it or you don't. But how would it have been if you didn't have it? Like, walk me to like what would be the communication between you and your client if you didn't have this tool?
Well, experience has shown me that there's a lot more explaining. There's a lot more back and forth. There are a lot more questions, and there's just less confidence from the client. It's not that they don't trust you, but
Yeah.
they don't see it, and it's their money and their home on the line. That is what I have found before I was doing renderings. Was there was sort of this like, I don't know, is it gonna work? And sometimes even from me, because you get things halfway done and you realize the sofa is too big, and or something like that. So for me, it's been huge to streamline the process, to make things simpler by having the visual. It's like a map. Like, here's the roadmap.
Yeah.
Here's what it's going to look like. Here's where we're going, and we can get you there. Do you like this destination? Yes or no?
I
If you
perfect.
do, just keep looking at this destination. We're going to get here. This is
Yeah.
what we're aiming for.
That's awesome. And,
Yeah.
and what about the general contractor? Can you talk a little bit about what would have been the experience with the general? What's been the experience with the
Yeah,
general
I love
contractor?
that you asked that, because we've been talking very homeowner centric. My GCs, my contractors and trades, love these renderings because, again, it answers questions. Even when it comes down to things like tile installation, are we doing brick lay? Are we doing herringbone? Are we doing vertical? It's on the rendering. And yes,
Yeah,
of course, we still have those conversations, but it pulls all those individual elements together, and your trades can see it and go, oh, I get it. This is the wall color. This is where the tile stops. This is where the hardware is placed on the cabinet, because you can get that detailed with how you and your team do your renderings.
yeah. No, and I'm gonna take it. I haven't heard it this way, but it's like a common destination. We're going this way, and
Yes.
if you trust, I mean, of course, they trust you because they're hiring you already. But but there's always, you can always increase that level of trust. Like, it's nothing
Absolutely.
wrong with having even more trust. If they know what the end of the movie is, at least they're going to be confident and like, okay, I made a good selection. And if they didn't, like if for some reason you present a design that they're not 100%, on board, they have a say before the entire money is all built, is all like, put in.
Yes. And we talk about an interior designer saves clients time, money, and mistakes. And I would argue that renderings save us as designers time, money, and mistakes. You can catch those mistakes early. One example, I had a recent project. I actually think I have the rendering ready. It's right on my desktop. It was the one I was trying to screen share on our last call, Fernando, and I could not get it to work. But with this project, it's a pretty bold wallpaper. And we had originally thought about it being just on one wall or the ceiling. And I said, I really think we should do it in the entire room. And when she saw the rendering, she went, yeah, I get it. Let's do it.
Instantly.
Yeah. Whereas like me trying to sell her on whatever it was, 16 rolls of this not inexpensive wallpaper, if she wasn't feeling confident, she might pull back and say, you know what, let's just try to do one wall. But then again, like a picture's worth 1,000 words. She saw it and went, oh yeah, I understand your vision. I love it. Let's do it.
And it's not an easy sell, right? Like as you can see that one, like if you show someone like, here's a wallpaper, and I love it. I honestly do love it. However, like you see it like, here's a wallpaper, and we're gonna cover not a little bit.
Yeah.
We're gonna cover the entire room with this. Coming from my own experience, I would say like, oof, okay, like, all right, like I trust you. However, yes, I'm going to lead this more out of trust, but not that much out of certainty. So
I love that.
Yeah.
And you want clients to have trust and certainty.
And certainty, of course, because the trust factor is there because they hire you, they know you from, you probably did another project with them. But the whole that when you go from trust to certainty, that's where you say like, okay, now I'm in full control, right? I have their whole full say on this, and it's just a better place to operate, I believe, because the mistakes could still happen. However, there are not going to be any surprises, though, especially with the end product, because it's going to look like that. That's just that. Yeah. It's all at scale. It's all exactly how it should be. We don't do any. Oh, look at that. So that's that's
the mood board. And I wanted to share that for contrast, because this is fine and good, but you still don't get quite the sense of, and I've done my best with my little Canva graphics there, but there's a massive difference between, hey, client, buy into this design. Yeah, this kind of looks like your house, and that's maybe kind of the scale of the wallpaper, sort of, versus that rendering where you're like, oh, got it. Yeah.
Exactly, like from trust to certainty. And then yes. And I think that's one of the things that these tools can give to designers. I truly do think that the more tools the designers have, it could be renderings, it could be any other tools that make their life easier and the job the job easier and more streamlined. Why not, right? And one of the things that we get a lot is like, oh, okay, but like, what about the money? Like, it shouldn't be paid by the designer.
No, it's not an expense out of your pocket. It's part of your design fee, and your design fee should cover the expense, the investment for rendering, with profit on it. It is not just a pass through. It also doesn't need to know the exact cost of it. It's built into your design fee.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because we get that a lot, that question. And of course, I can tell them and I can coach them on how to do it, but I'm not a designer. So I would like for you to kind of like tell us, like, how do you do it in terms of like who pays for this, how they pay for it, and where do you bill?
Well, I will start by saying renderings have become a non-negotiable part of my full service design process and my online design process. Anytime I'm doing a complete room scope, we're doing a rendering, full stop. No, if you take the rendering out, I will not make the package cheaper. We're not doing it. It's that important to not only the outcome, but the process of the project. So in order to make this profitable and not an expense, you need to back up when you are doing your initial pricing. If you're using the Key, the Designer's Ultimate Pricing tool that Nancy and I built, You can add a line for renderings and give an estimate of hours that convert. It's not, I mean, it's not, you're not paying hourly for the renderings, but you will know in advance from Fernando and his team what your investment is for the rendering. You can add that into the key with a little bit of a buffer, and that becomes part of your flat design fee. And yeah, it's going to be a little scary because it's going to push your fee from here to here, and it's worth it. And it's a level of professionalism that just takes you to, like I just said level, but the next level as a designer. And I will tell you what nudged me into finally making the leap, Fernando, to work with you, because I have someone else that does renderings and they're perfectly lovely and they're fine. And she's a lot less expensive. But Nancy was the one that was looking at my work saying, hey, listen, these renderings are nice. Like they look good, but I know you're going after this level of client. And if you want to get there, technology is changing so quickly. Client and consumer expectations are changing so quickly. They see all the stuff on HGTV and design shows of these incredible renderings. You need to be up here.
Yeah.
Okay, it's time. So does it make my design fee sometimes a little scary to say to clients? Yes. Do I have absolutely thrilled clients who love the renderings and are fully bought into my design plan and do not hesitate to write a check for all of the products I'm proposing? Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the magic of it. So it really is important to work it into your fee. I strongly recommend do not itemize it out. Do not make it optional. Clients will look at that number and go, no, that's cool. I won't do renderings. They're that important. They need to be baked into your design fee.
Somebody told me, I was talking, I don't remember who I was talking to, and they said like, well, if you're spending all this money, right? And she compared it to their wedding, right? Like if you're spending all this money to do your wedding, and you're going to have, you're gonna, wear this 3, 4, sometimes even more $1,000 dress.
Yeah.
Would you not try it out first?
That's a great point.
Like you want to try this out first. Like you're going to, like people do rehearsal dinners, like you do all these things prior to the event. You do all these things prior to the final work. Renderings, I think, is you kind of like testing if everything that you're putting all together actually works. So think about some of our clients tell me like, well, this is kind of like buying insurance, like you want to be protected before the final delivery. So I love this analogy about the dress thing, honestly. Like
good, you're right.
Because it is like that. Like you want to test it out before, you may not look great on the dress. You may kind of like do something to your body. That's why you try it out first. It is so expensive. Like you're not going to just wing it the day of the event, right? You're going to try it out to see if it, you're going to make some adjustments. You're going to cut here, cut there, make something a little loose, make something a little tight. So you can look fabulous at your wedding day, right? So yeah. I love that analogy. I still don't remember who said it, but I figure that it just works perfectly for this occasion.
You don't just hope for the best, you try it on. And you're right, a rendering of a room is a way to try it on and make sure all is good. A $4,000 dress is not nothing, but think about an interior. Your clients are easily spending 10 times that, 100 times that, 1,000 times that if you're working on a multi-million-dollar home. Like it's a no-brainer to have insurance with a rendering. Yeah. And then clients, truly happily pay for everything and just say, yep, make it happen. I love it.
Yeah.
It's just that confidence. It's that assuredness that you're like, yep, the dress fits. I look great. Let's go forward.
Or not even like I see the dress on the website or the store. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm gonna look great on that dress. Let's just wing it to the wedding. Like, oh yeah, there's no way. No one is gonna do that. I don't think anyone would do that. And for the people that are listening, it's like, oh, okay, but this may be too expensive. It is a luxury service. It is a luxury service. Like if you want to attract luxury clients, you need to be willing to, and I think that's probably what Nancy told you, right? Like you need
exactly
to be
what she told me. If you want to get clients that are up here, your renderings need to be up here. Your renderings can't just be okay. They need to be amazing.
Yeah, and one of the things and that we do is that we create packages, and you got one of these packages. Like once you get into these packages mode, we offer a variety of views, a variety of close-ups. Like we even throw some night views there, even a walkthrough. But when you get in a package mode, it actually, if you do itemize it like by view or by
Per
image
job, per room.
is not that much, right?
No, it isn't.
So I invite everyone, like if somebody wants to kind of like learn more about how we package this, because no project, I mean, some projects are just like one-off spaces, right? But well, a lot of these projects are like, if you have a house remodel, like it's like multiple spaces, 5, 10, even 20 spaces.
Mhm.
We can prepare a package for, you, and you'll see that the cost is not astronomical. Like for the value that you get, for the value that your client is getting, it actually comes down to, all right, look, how much are we going? Like it's risk management, right? Like you invest this amount of money, but you will get so much more out, and your client and your general contractor, like everybody benefits. So yeah, so we can definitely create packages for anyone watching, and we're happy to kind of like listen to everyone in the audience that want to explore this option. We have a fantastic customer success team that is willing to listen and willing to like learn the particular like specific needs for each individual client, and we can create these packages that fit the needs of everyone. Yeah.
I love that you pointed that out, because we've got some designers watching that are doing maybe one room at a time. And we've got some designers that are doing entire whole homes. And I love that you're saying, yes, you can do the a la carte. You can do one room, a few views, nail it. It's amazing. You can also, there are economies of scale with doing a larger project with you too.
Yeah,
It's not just the
absolutely.
one room times 20. It looks different. And you have options for designers if you're doing one room, one or two rooms, or you're doing an entire home.
Yeah, and one of the things also that we do is, like, for example, if you like, I remember you got like a 10 space package, right? Like these packages don't expire, so you can use them, at your own pace. And some designers, which is like, I'm trying to give some nuggets here. Some designers use them for their own portfolio. Like, oh, okay, I want to create a kitchen that will attract the people that would have these kitchens.
Yeah.
So you create this majestic, all beautiful kitchen, with the renderings, and then you put it out to the world and say, like, I'm able to do this.
Yes, it's showing what you are capable of, even if you don't have that client knocking on your door yet. Guess what, do it is what's going to attract those clients to you. And that's why I decided to jump in and say, you know what? I'm buying the big package. I know I want to keep working with you. I know I want this work to be at this level. And you make a great point too. It's amazing social media and website content to be able to show these. And there is nothing wrong with showing a rendering and making it clear it's a rendering and not an installed room, because some of the renderings are so good, it's hard to tell if they're actual spaces or not. But clients love to see that. They love to see your creativity and ideas. They love to see what you can do, and you can make it reality too.
Yeah. No, so I invite everyone to, join us in this rendering quest of having everyone having, getting their client that they want, getting their luxury client that they're seeking out. If you're starting a new design firm, getting renderings and starting to build your portfolio so you can have a portfolio to get those clients. It's always a good thing. There's so many applications for this tool, and we're still learning. How else can we just apply this to designers? How can we offer even more value? If you are interested, somebody who's watching, if you're interested in kind of like exploring this option, you can go to duquerenders.com/call, CALL, duquerenders.com/call. There's a calendar there. Just pick a time, pick a date, and we'll be happy to, talk to you. And again, everything that we do is custom, right? So we need to listen to you. I like that, I train our team in saying, like, listen to the client, because no project is different. No designers, no project is the same. No designer is the same. We can't do a cookie cutter kind of like solution for everyone. That's why we like to sit down. These conversations are, nice. We learn a lot about the clients, like I did it with you, and here we are, right?
Here we are.
Yeah. So again, the page is duquerenders.com/call, and there should be a calendar there, and somebody will be happy to, take you.
I think that's awesome. And having gone through that process myself, I can tell you your team is great. Everyone's very responsive. You guys have listened to my feedback. I know you're listening to other designers too. So we're happy to support you. And I'm happy to keep having you make amazing renderings that make my clients happy. So I'm all
Yes.
good.
Perfect. No, I'm excited. Thank you again for having me. I'm I'm excited for our next conversation. We'll figure
Likewise.
out like something that we can add to the audience for in the future. I think your perspective is great because you're not only a coach, you're also a client that's been through this process. It's not that somebody told you. It's like you're living, breathing this process.
I'm doing it right alongside the designers that I coach. So it's nice to be able to bring both sides of that world.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Fernando. We'll talk to you again soon.
Bye bye. Thank you.